Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Resident Rulebreakers. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Camille.
And today's podcast, we will be discussing episode 403, which was called The Accidental Patient, referring to Cain becoming a patient that he really didn't intend to become. So it was written by Todd, Harthan, and Marc, Halsey, and directed by Rob Greenlea, who also directs next week's episode 4. They do 2 episodes at a time now because of COVID-19. So Rob will be
like bring a director all the way from LA or something like that for just 1 week, which is usually how long it takes to do an episode. So they would rather, like, if they're going to bring a director from another state or whatever, make him stay for 2 weeks or something, which would be 2 episodes, and then they can go back to California. But yeah, Rob Greenlea has directed many other episodes in season of The Resident, I think in season 3 as well. So this isn't his first episode for The Resident. But yeah, it was a really good episode. I actually liked this episode.
I really loved the episode. It was really, really good. The first one, obviously, first topic we need to touch on is obviously Cain. You know, because I saw many people like he got his justice or whatever. And I'm sitting here going, well, he did say he what did he ask Kit? Is this karma, right? And then what he asked her. So
I know I'm probably one of the few people who think this, but I want him to pull through. I really do, because whether he sucks as a person or not, he's a good neurosurgeon. You know what I mean? And he's like, you know, we need more, as AJ puts it, we need more gods, surgical gods, of color, I guess, in their field. And he was like, AJ was saying, like, you know, I was really excited to find out that you were the next recruit for Chastain, you know. And he was like, I'm holding out hope that, you know, we still get time to actually become closer. But, you know, Cain was like, are you the one who's gonna testify against me in court or whatever, which just ruined the mood.
Because at the beginning of the episode, Cain drives up on a fiery car crash, and I love how they're practical. Their stunt team on The Resident is phenomenal. If you saw the episode in season 2 where they did the car crash, the whole theme, the way they faked it, was a very practical stunt. It wasn't CGI by any means. So their stunt team is phenomenal on this show, and I just love seeing that they're doing this despite everything. Yeah. And but he comes up on this car crash and he saves this girl who we'll talk about in a moment. And
yeah, no, first of all, the whole car crash thing was like, whoa, scary. I mean, they had the guy who later becomes Devon's patient, which again ties to his story. You know, his like legs were practically burnt off because like he came into the emergency room with his like all bloodied legs, and like all the skin was just like scabbed and red, and I just felt so bad for him.
And you know, we'll talk about this in a moment, but Devin, you know, he's dealing with his own issues, and he helped a patient in the long run. I think that's pretty cool. Grief has a way of making people realize things that, you know, Devin's grief has allowed him to help someone else see closure so in the end, I think that's a good thing. But Cain they didn't realize it was Cain that was involved in this wreck, but the girl that he saved, Conrad and Nick took care of in the episode. And she's like, this man saved my life. And they realize it's Cain. But Cain has issues. He can't like close his hand or something, right? And he has a heart issue because when he was supposed to go into surgery, his interns didn't wait on Kit. And they caused more issues. Which, by the way, we've fussed about this before. About Cain's interns.
Who was the dumbass who thought to themselves, hey, we have a world-class surgeon here. Let's start experimenting on him. Oh my, like that whole. Okay, first of all, the scene when he woke up in the operating room, you know what I mean? Like that nightmarish scene. I was like holding my breath, and I couldn't, like, oh my God, like what the hell happened? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then when you realize that it was not real, Cain was still moving. So I think the anesthesia was light on the surgery.
Yeah, there's definitely an anesthesia issue. Either they're trying to show that, you know, they're having a nightmare, or Cain's having a nightmare. I don't know what that scene was about, you know, quite honest. But I love how AJ and Kit berated the interns. They were like, you could have just destroyed the career of a world-class surgeon, you know? Yeah. Whatever faults you have for Cain, he's still a world-class neurosurgeon. So do not take that lightly. And AJ, being the character that he is still rooting for him to hopefully see past this and realize he's been given a gift of life. And maybe he'll be able to redeem himself. I think the redemption arc is a way too late coming, but we'll see.
I don't know. I think that it is too late for Cain as far as getting everybody to like him, like they did with Belle. But I don't think it's too late to introduce some positive characteristics about him, because not everybody is bad.
Exactly. Even like there's a scene in there where Cain says, I'm sorry I almost killed your son-in-law, to Kit. You know, Kit puts aside all that anger she has and tries to save this man's life. And that's the process of a good doctor.
That is her job to do that.
It's her job. Like, people were like, if I were Kit, I wouldn't do helping him. I'm like, you don't realize she took the oath. She took a Hippocratic oath. She cannot do harm to anyone. You obviously don't seem to be able to understand that.
She's not Lane.
No, she's not Lane Hunter. I can promise you.
Wouldn't be able to be a doctor, because if I probably, but yeah, like I said, there's when you're a doctor, you can't like put emotions into what you're doing or whatever. So your job is to try to save the patient. Like we've had this storyline sort of explored before with other medical shows, like Grey's Anatomy. One of my favorite storylines was when they had a school shooter in the operating room. The police identified him as the school shooter, and Teddy Altman and Christina Yang still stayed to try to save his life, even though he was the school shooter, because he killed all these people, because that's their job. You can't just like leave the patient dying no matter what they did. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Anyway, so yeah, there's that. But, you know, we all know who's going to be testifying against Cain, and we know it's Mina. So,
are we sure? Because
it's Mina. It's Mina. But you know, and in this episode, we also have, there's a happier storyline. Obviously, Cain doesn't wake up from he's still in a coma at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's going to go on in the next few episodes, except for what the network has revealed to us. And
so they've released
there's a photo of him awake in the bed with the neck brace on and stuff. So yeah. We know he wakes up.
Yeah. So he's fine.
This episode, Nick is concerned about the home pregnancy test, and Conrad's trying to reassure her, like, it's a 99% accurate. You don't have to worry about it, Nick. But she's not got any symptoms of pregnancy. You know, the nausea, all that morning sickness, all that stuff. She doesn't have that. So they do a secret blood test to confirm her pregnancy. I love Conrad was so gentle with her.
I love that Conrad already bought like sparkling cider for celebration and stuff.
And a pregnancy pillow and prenatal vitamins and all this other stuff. He's like,
you know, I bought all of that for you.
And she's like, I bought a lot of leggings. But I
mean, like, not all pregnancies are the same. So no. Like, because you don't have the symptoms, that doesn't mean the normal symptoms. That doesn't mean that you're not pregnant. I remember when I was pregnant. Oh my God, I was only pregnant for like 8 weeks before I lost the baby. But during like the 3 or 4 weeks that I was pregnant, like I could feel the symptoms or whatever, so I couldn't eat anything. I remember one time my mom went and took me to Burger King to eat, and I threw up everything on the table between us. I couldn't eat anything. All I could eat was crackers. It was just so bad. But yeah, not everybody have those symptoms. You know what I mean? So just because you don't have the morning sickness or the drowsiness or whatever, it's usually less.
But Nick has every right to be concerned about this because she's married before. And you know, this storyline, we kind of know somewhat of what it's gonna do from words about Amy and from press releases and things that have released. But with the Conrad and Nick baby, we've confirmed it. They have not revealed to everyone else. That's actually next week's episode. They're going to reveal to everyone else that Nick is pregnant. Oh
my God. If you guys saw the promo for this Tuesday's episode, it's so cute. Cara is like so happy to see the ultrasound. I was just like the most.
Yeah, there's an ultrasound and everything. So
yeah, they also tell who the gender of the baby.
Also, for you, because this is the first time we've been able to record in a while. For you people asking if Emily Van Camp is pregnant, she is not. She is wearing a prosthetic baby bump.
Her cheeks look chubbier last week.
But Matt has confirmed in an interview after the second episode, he says she's been wearing a prosthetic baby bump for the last few weeks while they've been filming. So whatever you're seeing is completely fake.
Affects Emily's privacy.
Yeah, we need to respect that too, guys. If she was pregnant, she and Josh would reveal that. No other cast member should reveal that information. But Matt, I think Matt did it to just say, look, this is not something they wrote in because she is pregnant. They wrote it in because they wanted it in the storyline. So sorry guys. But you need to respect Emily's privacy on this one, and don't go asking her on social media if she's pregnant, please.
People are crazy.
Minator. There's some good Minator in this episode.
Mina is so cute. There's so many scenes. Hey, first of all, I loved their conversation in the residence lounge to kind of like set the boundaries and set rules between them and stuff like that.
This is a Minator conversation, truly. Like, she's like, we need boundaries, and he's like, yeah, we do. And she's like, no contact while we're inside the hospital. But apparently on the hospital grounds is fine,
Malcolm AJ was the one who said within the 4 walls. Outside of the 4 walls, that's okay. So that rule isn't broken.
What was really funny about all that was like, because she was like, they're having to respect to each other about, their boundaries around each other. She went around AJ to tell the Mullins that Cain is not a good doctor.
Yeah.
And now she's testifying against them. So there have to be some, she's like, you can't tell me that, I shouldn't have done that. That was needed. So
I just like the, because it's very mature. That kind of like communication is like something and stuff, and they're so cute. I love them.
The funny part was, and it was very teenage girlish, Nick and Mina revealed to Nick she's with AJ. And it was so teenage girlish in a way. Mina's like, I'm dating someone. But the thing is, they were so teenage girlish. I was just like, Nick finally realized, oh, she's with AJ. And only he and his cats know. So for you people, AJ's a cat man.
But I was like, I have something to tell you, but you can't tell anyone. Like, what? Like, giddy face. Like, it's seriously how...
You seriously think that Nick's not going to tell Conrad? Really? You seriously think Nick's not going to tell her husband? Come on.
I know. But she was like, oh, yeah, I'm seeing somebody in the hospital. He works here. It's like, it just reminds me of being in high school and you tell your best friend who your like new boyfriend is, and you're like,
yeah. Very teenage girlish.
I swear I saw her skipping away.
Yeah. The girl that Nick and Conrad help in this episode, her name is Eva, and she's in witness protection. And
she was a protection person.
Yeah, she was really freaking out because Belle had his camera crew on scene to film something for his show.
You're talking about Belle's patient. I thought you were talking
No,
about
I'm talking about Nick and Conrad's patient, but she was freaking out because the camera crew was in the building. She was afraid that she was being filmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she ended up seeing herself on a TV screen. Yeah, but what triggered, like, they realized that she had been misdiagnosed. That's a classic resident storyline.
She was part of the witness protection program. So like when they called her emergency contacts or whatever, that's when they realized that they called Conrad and realized that the phone number was to an agent, not to like a parent or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the agents came from her handler, I guess, and told them that she is a witness. She testified against some powerful people or whatever. So that's why
she opens up to Conrad that she was a whistleblower, and Conrad pretty much says, I was one too at one point, and I was really afraid I was going to hurt some people I really loved, But in this one, she ended up hurting the guy she loved, and he ends up finding her.
Up with him because she was about to go into the witness protection program. Oh, that's what.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the story they did around it was really cute because he still loves her, and he's like, I have a special needs bulldog and a job I really hate. Can I come with you this time?
So cute.
It was cute, but in the end, Conrad and Nick ended up. She had some type of blood clotting disease, and it caused her to have a lot of symptoms that, her skin would turn red in the cold. So stuff like that. So in the end, they ended up saving her. She had a stroke.
Yeah, her boyfriend. She sleep talks. The way that Conrad and Nick kind of got her diagnosis was pretty much what the resident is famous for. They get a lot of they do a lot of diagnosis stories by talking to the patient or talking to the loved one. They don't, because a lot of times the test results don't tell the full story.
And in this case, they talk to her, I guess what becomes her boyfriend again, and he tells them all these symptoms that have been playing out for so long. And so there's that. So
back to last week's episode where last week's episode where the woman, the congresswoman didn't talk about her vacation with the bodyguard,
Yeah. Conrad and Devin were like, you can't lie to your doctor.
Yeah.
So we've already mentioned this, but Belle, he's trying to figure out what Red Rock's going to do financially with the hospital, because they're in financial ruin. Logan Kim's gone. And they have no CEO. Kit's trying to figure it out. Belle's trying to figure it out. And at first, like the guy that's Star Smith's place, the guy that's over Red Rock. He essentially is telling Belle, like, we're not replacing Logan, but do you want your job back? And Belle's like, no, I don't want my job back. So there's that question solved. But he's committed to trying to say, the hospital is a wonderful place, and we need a person to run this place. And so he takes it into his own hands, gets his producers to agree to let him film a surgery and show how wonderful Chastain is. And so they find this guy, very charismatic guy, who apparently has this TikTok, and he loves the ladies and all this other stuff.
Social media influencer, I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, Mina's trying to figure out what in first Nolan was supposed to be on the surgery, and she's like, where's Nolan? And Belle's like, oh, we swapped. And she's like, I don't really like the idea of the TV crew. And she was against it at first, and then she realized why Belle did it. She's like, oh, and it wasn't because of his ego. That Belle is gone, But she did call him out. She started calling him out on the fact that, at one point his face was plastered up against the side of the building. Now the version that we have in this episode is not that man.
Yeah, Mina thought it was just to help Belle's reputation or whatever, because I guess this was the same camera crew for his TV show. But Belle, it was revealed by the end of the episode that Belle was there to help Chastain. First of all, I wish that they could release just that clip that Belle said about Chastain for in the end of the episode, because I don't know why, but I just felt it in my heart. I cried a little bit, because it should be.
But it's really rare when Mina admits she was wrong. And in this episode, she admitted to Belle she was wrong. So, but Mina and Belle, I love when they team them up. Just Bruce and Shawnette really play off each other pretty well. And I just really loved how they showed the surgery. And the guy didn't necessarily have the surgery they wanted. They were trying to do it laparoscopically so they could prevent scarring and stuff, which is what he wanted, but they couldn't really do the surgery that way. So they ended up having to cut him open, but they ended up saving his life. So there's that. But
I love the little scene where when a guy woke up, he was asking Belle, "Oh, do you have Instagram or whatever?" And Belle was like, "I don't."
No, that scene reminded me of Bruce in a nutshell, because I was sitting there going, remember before the season started, I think he posted a thing that said, "I forgot I had an Instagram." I was like, this is such a Bruce Greenwood scene.
He was just like, "I forgot I have Instagram." I'm like, Belle. But I saw that scene of Belle and his patient, and he was like, "I don't really do Instagram." I was like,
That's a Bruce thing.
So Bruce.
We know. But yeah, so it was a really good, well-rounded episode. And then of course Kit and Belle, just that scene with them talking about who's going to replace the CEO and all that stuff. She's always, there for him, they're always there for each other. So I really loved that as well.
And I just love that now Mina is teaming up with Belle. He was like, "Look, you're not the only person who cares about Chastain, so like, tell me what's going on and how bad it is." And now she's also brought in AJ to the conversation as well, because,
Mm-hmm.
So this time, it's nice how these characters, we just spent like months rewatching season 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how like Belle sucked. Belle is a narcissist. He was like fucking threatening Mina deportation or whatever. So you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And now like they're working to, like 3 seasons later, they're working together to kind of
to save the hospital.
And they're like bringing in other people into the conversation. So it's like a really nice 180 or whatever.
Yeah. Definitely wonderful character growth, that's for sure. Okay, and then there's the Devin storyline. Devin obviously is reeling from his dad passing away by himself, and he couldn't help him.
Yep.
And this patient he gets from the same car wreck. And
in this week's storyline, the witness protection age, Belle and Mina's, Cain and Devon's patient are all from the car accident.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But this particular patient, he's got burns all over him and everything, and Devin kind of knew going in that he wasn't going to be able to save his patient, but this patient was estranged from his daughter, and Devin's trying to convince him to make out with his daughter before he passes away. And he goes into what his grief is about how he lost his father. And Devin doesn't realize until after his patient has passed away that his patient listened to him, and that his daughter comes in and they talk and they discuss it. And so in the end, Devin helped his patient before he died.
It is. A lot of what Devin said is true. It's like when you lose somebody, you just think of, somebody you love, you think about like all the things that you wish you could do one more time of, like have a redo. Last year I lost one of my closest friends, and the hardest thing for me to do was we would go to we would always eat out. We'd always go out to get something to eat, and we'd always he was always my buddy. We'd always go out to eat or whatever. And so after he died, it took me months to be able to go back out to eat at the places that we used to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like one of those things where you're grieving, that's what you deal with, is like, I wish I could do one more thing of this, but then I wish it was just Devon's whole conversation about like his dad, his ride along with his dad, and the conversation about like, oh, I wish I could just do one more ride along or have one more day with my dad, have one more conversation with my dad, that kind of thing. I think every single person who's lost somebody can relate to that.
Yeah, I feel that way. Obviously, I still have my parents, but like I feel that way with my grandma. Like I'd kill to have one more conversation with her to prove to her that I made it, that I'm, I survived and I was able to get the surgery I needed and I was able to get a decent job and I was able to finish my degree and everything. Yeah, to be able to tell her that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
That I'm fine. I'm surviving.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I could tell my friend that I'm okay. But yeah, no, I mean, like I said, we can all relate to that conversation that, that just one more day, one more moment, one more ride along, one more lunch, one more conversation, one more sit down, whatever, you know what I mean? And so I guess, the patient took that to heart and was like, while I have the chance, I should tell my daughter the things that, she can't, I haven't told her since. So there's some closure, there's some happiness. And, the daughter was so thankful for Devon that, he was there for her dad because she was through that conversation, she was able to have that closure and there was peace within the family or whatever. So there's no hopefully there's no more oh, I wish I had one more thing. You know what I mean? For her anyway.
Yeah.
But
so just don't take your loved ones for granted, okay?
Yep.
It's pretty much the gist of that plot line. Just because every week when the episodes air, obviously I post the ratings within the next 48 hours or so. And a lot of people ask me, is this good? Is this bad? Like the ratings obviously this year have been lower, but we've got a pandemic on our hands and I don't think people are going to be watching as much, unfortunately. The live ratings are just lower. I think on all shows they're lower. So it's not just The Resident. It's still, the network is still pleased with the ratings and they're still doubling in ratings after 7 days. So
keep watching.
What more can we say? Just watch live if you can. If you can't, watch it on Hulu or whatever legal. Hulu and Fox now are really the true legal.
DVR.
DVR, Amazon, iTunes, whatever it is, just legal. So there's that. I just wanted to mention that people worried about the ratings on anything, we've been reassured that the network's okay with them. So
I look at it like this. Don't be worried about the ratings. We're doing the best that we can. We're promoting the show. We have a strong social media presence because social media is also, it's not just like ratings. Social media is also a big thing, big factor too.
And I had someone ask me about the commercials that air during the show. Like I told him, I said, look, from a PR perspective, because I do work in PR, I can give you this, that the more commercials that air, that means the more the Fox is promoting it, which means they're making more money off the show. So more commercials mean more money, which means that means there's a higher chance of us getting a renewal. So in the end, the more commercials we have, it's a good thing.
Yep.
In America, I can promise you, it's a good thing.
If you don't like commercials, get it, watch it on Hulu, DVR it, whatever, so you can fast forward the commercials. I don't know if Fox app does commercials.
There's a few. I've watched it on Fox before, but they lock it up after a week. So but I'm just letting you know, the people who I've had some people say there's a lot of commercials, and there are, because I watch it live too for the most part, and I just have to say, yeah, but Fox is promoting it. That means the advertisers want to advertise during it. So from an advertising perspective, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
So shouldn't worry about the ratings because in the end they are doubling after 7 days. So
yeah.
That's pretty normal. So the Patreon account we have a Patreon, and if you are a patron of ours, you can get early access to things like our graphics. The podcast we did last week, we posted it a week early because we were able to record it a week early. Me and Brittany were. And so it was up on Patreon way before it ever aired on Fox. And so you get things like that if you are a patron. But like I said, your only reason we were able to do that is because it was up early on Hulu. Otherwise, we can't do that because we don't get those sneak peeks that certain people get,
Yeah.
But so in the end, being a patron of ours it's a good thing. It's only like little as $1 a month, and you can cancel it anytime you need to. But we understand we're in a and it's patreon.com/The Resident Podcast. And so there's that. Upcoming episodes. Next week's episode is called Moving On in Mother Hands. Devin's mother is going to be making a visit. They did recast her. It's not the actress that was in the other episodes that we've seen Devin's mom.
Yeah, his mother looks younger than the one in previous.
Yeah. Well, she did have, I don't know what excuse they're going to have. She did have COVID and survived it. But I don't know what excuse they're going to give about her looking younger. But they did recast.
Like he in the new commercial for next week's episode, he has a black eye or something. I don't know what is going on with Devin next week, but he looks like
even like Nick's concerned. His mom's there, so there's going to be some big Devin storyline next week. There's a big CoNic storyline next week. Nick and Conrad reveal the gender of, they reveal that they're pregnant, and then they reveal the gender of their baby. So all in one episode.
They have the pregnancy announcement party and the gender reveal party all at once.
Yep. So there's all that. The episode 405, we have been warned about 405. It's called Home Before Dark. Kyle and Marshall make a reappearance in this episode, but it is a CoNic episode. Mainly Nick. Nick gets injured by a patient. It's in a press release. We're not giving you information that we didn't already have. Nick gets injured by a patient. This episode was kind of hinted at early on by Amy being one that we can't miss. It's an episode that's going to be showing through the rest of the season for Conrad and Nick in particular. It brings in a major character. It brings in Jessica Lucas's character in 406. That's her first episode. It's called, that episode press release came out this week, and it's called Requiems and Revivals. Jessica Lucas makes her first appearance. Conrad Rickamora returns in that episode as well. Belle gets a plot line with, he reaches out to him about something.
Yeah. And also Conrad Rickamora, he did post a picture on Instagram with the caption, he'll be back on 406. So there will be more sighting.
That is confirmed, yeah. In multiple places.
More sighting of Belle's stepson in 406. But yeah,
for the people who are, when I posted the press release for 405, people freaked, like literally freaked, because we know that Nick has had a miscarriage in the past. We know all that stuff. But from what I read from Amy's post 402 interview, was that it's going to be a difficult pregnancy. And so there's that. She doesn't lose the baby, but it's just going to be very difficult. And that's why Nick's friend, Billy, who's played by Jessica Lucas, comes in 406.
Yep.
So, paying attention to the press releases is a good thing because it lets you know what's coming. We're not really spoiling anything that Fox hasn't already revealed. That's my 2 cents on it.
People I laugh all the time because they're like, how do you know all this? I'm like, it's on.
We read.
Yeah. So it's exciting though. It's exciting to have the everyone. I'm excited. I can't wait to see more of the episodes and stuff. I am genuinely worried about Devin though, because the dude, I don't know what is going on with him.
Grief is a complex thing to go through, but he's sitting there. His father died in a way where he feels like he could have prevented. And see, the hospital is going to be transitioning from a private hospital to a public hospital over the course of the next few episodes. Which Devin, there's a thing in the press releases is Devin she's an opportunity and tries to fix some of the problems that are with public hospitals. So that's part of his storyline. His death of his father triggers parts of his storyline to help make the transition an easier thing. So I'm guessing that's where they're going with it. So it seems. The next few things. We have multiple platforms and ways you can listen to us. We're on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and we're on YouTube. And of course, we have our social media presence, obviously. Facebook, we have our Facebook page, which is the Resident Rulebreakers podcast. And then we have the Facebook group, which is the Resident Fox Fans. And if you're in Resident Fox Fans, just know that one, I'm pretty sure you know this already, the group's not spoiler free. We do post things for future episodes, mainly things that have been released by the network and interviews and all this other stuff. They tease it all the time. So if you're looking for a place where this information isn't out there, you're in the wrong group. There's that. And then we have our Instagram account, obviously, at the Resident Podcast. Camille's is at the Resident on Fox Fans, and she does post things that are on our Instagram about the show. Clips of episodes and things like that. And then I have my Instagram account, which is at KBCountry37. Much more personal stuff on that one. And of course, we have our Twitter account at Resident Podcast. I try to keep it active along with the others, but sometimes, obviously, I retweet a lot of the show stuff. I retweet a lot of interviews, stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff over there that's not on the other two. Next week's podcast is going to be obviously 404. It's going to be about moving on in mother hens. So until next week, I'm Kayla.
And I'm Camille.
Bye, guys.
Bye.